couple of months ago, I published a video talking about the problems using cardboard filament spools in a Bambu Lab AMS, how much you needed to worry about these problems and what you could do to remedy them right now. In that video, I teased about Filamentive, a filament supplier that I've been using for years, working on not one but two solutions to this problem. I'm excited to say that Filamentive have now released their MasterSpool and refill filament lineup, and I thought I would take this as an opportunity to do a quick test and run through to see how it performs. So let's have a look. Cardboard spools are a great way of avoiding a massive build-up of plastic spools which is going to end up in landfill, but they do have a bad reputation when being used in things like the Bambu Lab AMS. I won't go into the reasons for this now or how justified any of these claims are, but if you'd like to learn more, you can check out my earlier video on it, which I'll link to in the description below and at the end of this video. One of the things that you can do to use cardboard spools in your AMS is to print and fit a plastic spool tire, which clips around the outside edge of the spool. One of the problems here is you need to make sure that it's designed for the spool you're fitting it to, so it's the same size. And the other thing is that it can make your spool too big for use in an AMS, especially with the lid closed. The solution that Filamentive have settled on is to produce and release the designs for their own MasterSpool and to release a lineup of refill filament. You're probably already familiar with what refill filament is, but if not, effectively it is a spool of filament that comes bound and wrapped around a central cardboard column, but without the spool. There's no walls to it. A MasterSpool is a printable spool which then slots onto the sides of the refill and turns it into a full spool, and you can then reuse your MasterSpool that you've printed for future refills. A number of filament vendors have started to take on the concept of MasterSpools, but I thought that Filamentive is a fantastic example to focus on whilst covering this topic. One of the main draws for using filament which doesn't come on a plastic spool is environmental concern, and not only has the Filamentive filament which I've used over the years been exceptionally reliable, all of their PLA is also at least 87% recycled. So even though other vendors are offering a similar service, when talking about something that is reducing the environmental impact of 3D printing, Filamentive is one of the best examples to talk about. So let's have a look at this MasterSpool. Well, this looks like a good and solid design. Let's get this printed because I want to see how well this is going to fit together, how easy it is to fit, and how well it operates in the AMS. Well, I like how it's come out. It looks good. I couldn't help myself but painted a bit in Bambu Studio before printing, but because I've only painted on one side, which is flat against the bed, and it's only affecting that first layer, it didn't really affect the print time at all. And this is their refill spool. Now, whilst most refill spools come with plastic or paper disposable ties, these come with quite nice Velcro straps. And once you've fitted this to your MasterSpool, you won't need them anymore. So you can use them for other things, such as tidying up your cables or using as a hair tie. But I'm also working on a number of designs that you'll be able to print and use these as components. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to do the same thing on printables, Makerworld and Thingiverse. Quite simply, you take one side of your MasterSpool and place it flat on the table. Then you'll line up the Velcro straps on your refill with the holes on the MasterSpool and then push it down, making sure that you're pushing evenly around the central cardboard column. Once you've pushed that in as far as it will go, you'll take the other half of the MasterSpool and line it up again from the top, pushing it down from the other direction. Once you're confident that's pushed as far as it will go, flip it over and do the same the other side. Now, it's very important when doing this to make sure that it's pushed all the way in and that the inside walls are snug against the filament before you unbind it, or it's going to loosen immediately and become a tangled mess. Once you're confident it's pushed all the way in, you can then work your way around undoing and then removing the 3 Velcro straps. Well, that was definitely easy and painless and a lot faster than having to re-spool the whole thing using something like a Pastamatic. It also looks on face value like it'll be more reliable than something like a spool tire that I mentioned earlier, but we will obviously have to see. When you hold it up against an official Bambu Lab spool, they appear to be the exact same size, so it'll be interesting to see how well this works when it's loaded into the AMS. So with that, let's get it loaded. Well, it slots in there really nicely, and what's evident is that we're not going to have an issue with the size of this spool. It span absolutely fine whilst loading the filament with the lid closed, and you can see it's actually significantly smaller than a traditional Filamentive cardboard spool with my slimline spool tire fitted. Well, that seemed to go really well, and I haven't had any issues with any of the test prints I've done with this. Whereas with the tire spools, sometimes you'd have issues, especially with multi-material prints with a lot of automatic filament changes. If it was a bit too tight in there with the lid closed, it could cause an issue and you'd have to come and intervene mid-print. But even with those, I had no issues with this MasterSpool. They're also working on an adapter which will allow you to use filamentive refills with the official Bambu Lab spool, so I'm looking forward to seeing that when it comes out. Now, I mentioned before in my cardboard spools episode, and I'll say it again for this one, this is also not a Filamentive sponsored video. As I said earlier, a number of other filament suppliers are also offering this MasterSpool refill solution, and that's fantastic. But I like to promote anything that can make 3D printing more environmentally friendly. And whilst using refills is a great way of reducing the amount of plastic spools just being thrown into landfill, using heavily recycled material is even better. I've been a big fan of Filamentive for years, especially since they were a huge help supplying filament when I was co-running a startup producing and distributing tens of thousands of units of PPE to frontline workers for free during the initial COVID lockdown, and I've stayed in touch with them since then. That's how I was able to get early access to this MasterSpool to create this video, and also how I was able to get you guys 15% off of your orders using the code 3DRevolution at Filamentive.com. In full disclosure, that is an affiliate link and I will get a small cut from any orders placed with it, but it was in no way any sort of influence over me producing this video or how I structured it. I really hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please do make sure you hit the like button. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, hit subscribe and hit join if you would like to become a channel member and get all the channel member benefits. Thanks very much everyone, and until next time, happy printing. If you didn't see it last time, you might still be interested in my video on cardboard spools in the AMS, or just kick back with one of my other videos, learn something new or have some fun. Thanks very much everyone, and until next time, happy printing.